right, Danielle, here we are with week 17 of the WNBA season and the W Hoops podcast. And we had a couple games this week for the Fever, but really the big news in the least surprising but maybe most disappointing injury announcement ever, Caitlin Clark's out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it is really disappointing. There was a lot of excitement about this season for her, and it's just really not gone her way at all. I think she ended up only playing 13 games or something like that. Um, but I think it's wise. At this point, they have 2 games left in the regular season. It just doesn't make any sense to rush her back and try to get her back up to game shape and risk further injury at this point when it's almost a 0% chance that they could win this year.
Yeah, I think it was wise. It's disappointing, really disappointing. They were a top four team when she played, 8-5 in the 13 games. And, if you extrapolate that out, that's a top four record in the W this season, which would uh, align with, the net rating they had with her. So it's disappointing to go from that hope at the beginning of the season and, decent results to really just having so many injuries this year and kind of mysterious on some of them because it wasn't just one leg that kept getting injured. So, yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, they posted a picture recently, the Indiana Fever did of the team, and they have 16 players on the team right now because 5 of them are out injured for the
Yeah,
season. So
yeah,
that's rough.
it is. And, I was doing a little reading, just looking at, because they had announced her being done for the season and couple different sources talking about the injuries. And it's really, it started even in training camp. She was injured before the season started. She had a
Hmm.
left quad injury and she missed the first preseason game. And then for some bizarre reason, the league scheduled a back to back in the preseason. It just, why would you do that for a preseason game? So, the second game, of course, was the game at Iowa, and she wasn't going to miss that no matter what, right? She would have
Right.
had to have been hauled off by the Stephanie White and forced to stay in the locker room somehow. She was
Yeah,
going
and
to
that's and
play,
she made the shot from the Caitlin Clark logo and
right? Yeah. But you just wonder, that was probably, not optimal. It would have been optimal for her to rest. She was already injured and she played a game. But she really, that was, I think May 3rd or 4th. And then May 26th, she had a left quad sprain, and they sat her out for 5 games, I believe it was. And then she came back on June 14th, and by June 26th, she's ruled out again. And pretty sure that was her. She didn't play anymore for the rest of the season. Um, and she's clearly injured even when she came back for those 5 games. Like she shot 1 for 23 from the 3-point line in one
yeah.
3 game stretch
Yeah.
in those 5 games that she came back for. And so yeah, just not good. Well, I guess she came back briefly again in
She
July,
came back
actually.
for a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, she came back after the All-Star game, maybe.
And no, she came
'Cause
back right before All-Star, right? Did she come back after as well? I don't know. I don't think.
oh yeah, yeah, you're right. It was right before the All-Star game. She came back and got hurt again though.
Mhm.
But it was her other leg. I think it had been her left leg both times. And then there was another injury. There was a right groin injury. And I think then she hasn't come back since then, right? But during rehab, she got a bone bruise. Was that the other
On her
injury?
foot or toe or something.
Something, yes. Some bone bruise while nursing, trying to rehab from the groin injury or groin injuries and a quad injury. Who knows, right? It's just a lot of injuries she's dealt with in both legs. And so it's just been a tough season. I don't know that they could have done anything differently except, you know, um, maybe sit her out at the beginning of the year, but they weren't going to have her. she wasn't going to miss that game at Iowa no matter what. Um, so yeah, it's just been really unfortunate. She's missed a lot of games, and yeah, I mean the I guess some of the what announcements and you never knew. You kind of felt like it was day to day sometimes, and then it seemed like she might be back. Wasn't clear. I don't know if that could have been handled any differently or not, but
It's
yeah,
tough. I think muscle injuries are kind of pretty tough to know because it's if you have like an ankle sprain, you know, okay, maybe 6 weeks, and you have a better timeline with some different injuries, but those muscle injuries are tough.
they are. Yeah, so really unfortunate. She'll be out after, being like injury free for years and years and years.
Hmm.
To have four different injuries in just a few months span is got to be tough for her, more than anybody else. As fans were disappointed and teams disappointed, but I'm sure she's, just really frustrated and disappointed more than anybody. So, yeah. Hopefully she'll get healthy in the off season. I mean, I'm assuming she's not going to play any,
I'm curious.
league.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see. Unrivaled wants her. They wanted
Well,
her
of
last
course.
year, and she decided wisely to take a break because she had been playing nonstop for, since the college season started.
Yeah.
Um, But I'm curious just because she's been out for so long if she'll have kind of the itch to play and consider doing Unrivaled.
Yeah, and I wonder how much it will depend on what goes on with the CBA negotiations too, right? I
Yeah.
mean, if there's a lockout, would that push her to make a decision to play versus if they get things settled and everybody's happy, maybe she would decide not to. But one question, like how much does the physicality that the league has allowed contribute to any of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably does contribute. And I've even seen people speculate like because she kind of bulked up a little bit in the off season. I mean, she has a pretty slim frame, but she put muscle on and then like not being used to play, it's just an adjustment when your physique changes like that. So that contributed to some of the injuries, but certainly she's getting pounded all the time. And um, I mean, we've seen Lexi recently with her black eyes and busted lip. Odyssey Sims had a busted lip in the last game. And I don't, it's weird. There's like a weird narrative about the physicality. It's like something, sometimes they talk about, yeah, it's a physical league, like it's a positive thing, but I don't think anyone likes it.
No, nobody likes that. I mean, people like watching Caitlin Clark doing Caitlin Clark things,
Yeah.
as Rebecca Lobo says in our intro. And, it's just that's a lot more fun than watching people beat up on her or beat up on Paige or beat up on anybody, right? So, yeah, well, hopefully, she'll come back fully healthy for whether it's unrivaled or hopefully the 2026 WNBA season. So yeah, disappointing. But this week for the Fever, only two games. Their season is winding down because of the weird unbalanced schedule that the WNBA's had this season. And the first game, not a lot to comment on. It's a loss to the Mercury. We expected this loss is a road game at the end of a West Coast road
Hmm.
trip, and so not surprising that they lost that game.
No, and yeah, not too much to say about it, but the free throw discrepancy was interesting. Phoenix shot 23 to Indiana's 8, and it was a 6-point game. So
Yeah, we're
not,
gonna have to do a
that's tough.
deep dive. Yeah, that's really tough. We're gonna have to do a deep dive here in one of our next podcasts to look at free throws, which team shot the most free throws for the season. But that's a
Yeah,
huge disparity. I
it
mean,
is.
15 and only eight free throws. I mean, come on.
And two for Boston. Like, let's please.
Yeah, but that's something
Boston
we
gets no
talked
respect.
about.
And so Boston shot 5 for 15 and shot two free throws. And how many of those 10 shots that she missed do you think she was hacked on?
Yeah, I mean, she's one of the best shooters in the league as far as shooting percentage. I mean,
Yeah.
she stays within herself. She's not a great three-point shooter, obviously, but
Yeah, 15
when
feet and
she's
in.
15 feet and in, she's one of the best shooters in the league. She doesn't usually shoot 33%. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure Alyssa Thomas was bodying up on her and being very physical and getting away with a lot.
Yeah.
But
But positive from the game, Lexi was aggressive offensively and had 18 points. And then Ariel Powers has been a good contributor on a hardship contract. She played 20 minutes, had 6 points. 5 rebounds, 5 assists. So they've done a really good job, all things considered, dealing with the hardship contracts and integrating players into the system.
They have, and um, yeah, I think Kelsey Mitchell also had 29 points, so she had a really good
Hmm.
game. 5 for 9 on threes, 4 assists. So, just there's no way you're going to win with a discrepancy of 23 to 8 free throw attempts.
No.
So no shocker there. It was only a 6 point loss was kind of the
Right.
shocker.
Yeah,
That kind of
sure.
free throw disparity that only lose by
Yeah.
6. So Kelsey and Lexi really carried him and kept him in the game offensively. But last night, Friday, was a much better game. Had the rival Chicago Sky in town in Indianapolis for the fifth blowout of the season.
Yeah, I think they won by an average of like 25 or something this season. So I say keep the rivalry going. Let's see it next year.
Yeah, please, let's play Chicago at least 5 times every season at this rate.
Hmm.
I mean, this is Angel Reese was out, but Caitlin's out. But the real mystery to me with Chicago has been Ariel Atkins and what's going on with her this season.
Yeah, it's been the worst season she's had, I think, probably in the league. And part of it is she's been, she doesn't have as much talent around her. Probably her best years was when she was playing with Washington when Deladon was on the team and, Natasha Cloud's on the team and Christy Tolliver. And, she's a really good and was really good on that team and contributed a lot to their championship run. But I mean, she's good. She's an Olympian. I don't know. She just hasn't, she's been off this year.
Yeah. But as far as the game, I mean, Indiana started out hot. They were shooting really well, almost as well as Golden State did last week in beating Indiana, except Golden State's shots were all threes.
Hmm.
But Indiana shot really well in the first quarter, built an early lead, and just maintained the lead throughout the game. I don't know if the closest Chicago may have gotten in the second half was 11 or something. It just
Yeah.
wasn't much of a game.
Yeah, and White
Kelsey
called a timeout and they pushed it back up to 20 right away after the
Yeah,
timeout.
it was a really good timeout. That was
Yeah.
smart. Kelsey had 20 points, and Natasha had one of her best games of the year. She played great. Looked
She
like
did.
Commissioner's Cup Natasha.
Yeah.
Just made some very athletic plays, had a little pep in her step, and ended up with 18 points on 7 of 8 shooting and 7 rebounds. So yeah, she played a
Yeah.
great game. I mean, they're a different team, and if she could just consistently play like that. Not that she has
Hmm.
to shoot for 7 for 8 every game, but just the energy level and the bounciness she seemed to be playing with last night was had a huge impact on the game.
Yeah, and Kelsey had 8 assists. And her passing has really improved this year, and she had the sweet over the head kind of no look pass to Dantas as well.
Yeah, the State Farm pass of the game or whoever,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of sponsors that little moment. Yeah, and then Aaliyah had foul trouble. She didn't get to play much even.
No.
I think she had only 8 shot attempts, but a lot of that was just foul trouble. I don't think it was as much her
Right.
being ignored.
Yeah. But so they ended up 27 assists and 9 turnovers, so that's a good game.
Yeah, oh, it was a great game. A lot of fun. They're shooting well. And then I think the refs were like 0 for 3 on reviews. I think
Hmm.
3 challenges and all 3 calls were overturned.
Hmm.
So, yeah, the refs keep the hits coming with their bad reffing. They really maybe need to make that part of the CBA. We need more challenges because the officiating's so bad.
Right. Yeah, no kidding. That would help.
Yeah,
Maybe you
so
get 2.5 or something.
I mean, I don't know. It was just like every call that was challenged was overturned. It's just like,
Yeah.
come on. How many times? I mean, we've seen that so many times where the calls have been overturned and it just, wow. But yeah, that was a fun game. And, a really important thing, is it brought their magic number down to 1 by them getting a win. And I think LA lost.
Hmm.
Now Indiana's magic number to get into the playoffs is 1.
Yeah. And that's looking very promising. So hopefully they can pull it off. They play Washington at Washington and then they have Minnesota at home. So I mean they could win both of those potentially. But hopefully they can get the Washington win and feel good either way.
Well, it's looking like, we talked last week, I think it was last week, about the four teams fighting for the three playoff spots. It looks like
Mhm.
Golden State has clinched the sixth seed pretty much. I mean, not
Yeah.
mathematically, but practically,
Yeah.
Golden State's going to be the sixth seed, it looks like. And
Unless they pass New York.
yeah, unless they end up the five seed. But out of those four teams, they're the fifth or sixth seed. Indiana's looking like well, currently they're the seventh seed, and it's going to be, Seattle and LA kind of battling out for the eighth
Yeah.
seed. But
It's an uphill climb for LA. I don't think they're gonna make it. But Seattle has been pretty inconsistent as well. Indiana has the tiebreaker over Seattle, so it's looking pretty good for them to get the seven seed. And you'd much rather see Vegas or Atlanta than Minnesota in the first round.
yeah, definitely. So if you look at let's talk quickly for a minute. LA's got three games left, and Seattle has one, which again, what are they thinking with these scheduling decisions and the way it makes no sense. But LA plays Dallas, Phoenix, and Las Vegas. So they're playing two of those games are against two of the top four teams in the league, and they're going to be fighting for their playoff hopes. And they really are going to be motivated because they don't have
Right,
their draft pick. So, you know, but that's a tough stretch. And if they lose to Phoenix or Las Vegas, or if they lose both, I mean, if they lose both, they're out, you know.
right.
And Seattle only has one game left. So I had the standings pulled up here. Let me look at it a second.
Yeah, Seattle has 21 losses right now, and LA has 22. So if Seattle
Yeah.
loses, they're tied in the loss column with Seattle. I want to say LA has the series, but I'm not 100% sure. Let me see. They have one win, two wins,
But if
three wins.
Seattle
Yeah,
wins,
LA has the tiebreaker with Seattle.
yeah, but if Seattle wins, LA can't catch them. I mean,
Right.
Seattle's going to finish with 21
Yeah, they
losses
need
if
them
they
to
win.
lose.
So, and if Los Angeles loses one game, Los Angeles is out.
Yep.
Like, so Seattle's magic number is one also.
Hmm.
Like an LA loss or a Seattle win gets Seattle in the playoffs. So, I mean, the chances are it's going to be Indiana and Seattle at the bottom. Seattle is a pretty tough eight seed when they've been
They're just
up and
inconsistent.
down.
It's hard to
Yeah.
know what you're gonna get.
But talent
Um,
wise, that's a pretty tough eight seed for Minnesota to face.
Especially for it's the first round is a three-game series. You steal one game
Yeah.
and it could be over.
Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting, tight race here. But it looks from all practical purposes, it seems like LA's out. So let's just speculate a little bit on the seeding. Indiana, right now would be seven seed. They've got the tiebreaker on Seattle, so it seems like they're in pretty good shape to be the seven seed, and they'd
Hmm.
be playing the two seed in that case, which right now it's Phoenix lost, and so they're a game behind Las Vegas and Atlanta in the loss column. Atlanta's a half game up because they're one up in the win column on Las Vegas, but Las Vegas has the season series. They swept Atlanta this year, and so Atlanta has to have a game up in the loss column
Hmm.
to end up the two seed, and both teams have easy schedules coming up. I think
Yeah,
Las Vegas plays Chicago twice and Los Angeles, and then Atlanta plays Connecticut twice.
right. Yeah. Well, Los Angeles game we'll see for Vegas. But yeah, I would expect Atlanta to win both of those, but Connecticut has been playing better. So we'll see. I don't know. Um, they just beat Phoenix, and they don't have their pick, so they aren't motivated to be low in the standings.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it'll be obviously Atlanta's got the possibility to get the two seeds still, but Las Vegas is going to have to get a loss for
Yep.
Atlanta to get that. And I mean, Las Vegas has won 13 straight games. Are they
Yeah.
going to be able to win 16 straight games? Are they even going to
Yeah.
want to try to do that? They could, in theory, just give up on that last game with Los Angeles and not play everybody and get rested for the playoffs. So
Yeah.
it's going to be, it looks like it's going to be Atlanta or Las Vegas, with Las
Hmm.
Vegas having the slight advantage because they've got the season tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Um, so what I also wanted us to talk about a little bit was the MVP race. So did a little digging on some advanced stats because Asia passed up Nafisa in scoring this week. So she's leading the league in scoring right now, where Nafisa had been leading the league all year.
Hmm.
Um, like advanced stats, if you look at net rating for an individual, you know, Nafisa's at 16.8 and Asia's at 9.7. For
Yeah.
effective field goal percentage, Nafisa's at 57.4 and Asia's at 51.7. And a lot of that is, Nafisa takes tougher shots. She takes more threes, but she's been shooting pretty well this year, and that helps your
Yeah.
effective field goal percentage by
Yep.
hitting. And she's been shooting great from the free throw line as well.
Yeah. She's almost 50, 40, 90. I think she's like 1.5% short on her threes. She started out pretty hot and then dipped a little bit, but she's pulled it back up. I think she was 4 for 4 from three the other day. So she's really close to 50, 40, 90, which is really impressive.
Yeah, and true shooting. Also, all her percentage helps with the true shooting. She's 63.3%. Asia's at 59.2, and
Yeah.
so in all these advanced stats, Nafisa's leading over Asia, and in the reason that she's Asia's leading in some of the counting stats could be just usage rate. Um,
Hmm.
that's the one advanced stat where Asia is over Nafisa. Nafisa's usage rate is 28.2 and Asia's is 31.1. So she's
Right.
taking more shots. I
Right.
mean, her shooting isn't as effective, but clearly she's taking more shots, using
And
more.
she gets quite the whistle. I'm sure, I don't know exactly how many free throws they each shoot per game, but I would guess Asia is shooting more than Nafisa.
She is. It's not a huge gap. Nafisa's got a good number of free throws this year too, and she's hitting them at a super high rate.
Yeah,
So, but I mean, usage rate is really why Asia's leading in scoring right now. She's just
sure.
taking more shots, and that's the danger if voters just look at counting stats. If they just look at rebounds and points, but the most important stat is wins, and Nafisa is leading in that this year. Obviously, the Lynx are going to be the one seed, and they've already clinched that. So hopefully, the voters will do a little digging and look deeper into the numbers. Even though Asia has passed Nafisa in scoring and gets more rebounds, she's averaging a double double now, and voters tend to like those kind of things. But hopefully, they'll do a little more serious digging. They'll take into account that the Lynx are the number one seed, and Nafisa, I think, has the best case. I didn't even bring up Alyssa Thomas's after I did the research. Her usage rate is too low. I mean, she only has a usage rate of 23.8, which is, you know, the best player in the league should not have a usage rate of 23%. It's
Right.
right around the 30% mark is where you want it. Like Asia and Nafisa have good usage rates for the best player on a team, and Thomas is just too low. I mean, 23%. She's not the MVP if she's only got a 23% usage rate.
No, and you just watching the way players get guarded also, like you can just tell people don't have to respect Alyssa Thomas if she's out, past the free throw line at all.
Yeah.
And you have to guard Nafisa the whole court. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's really, to be fair to Thomas, it's really unfortunate with her shoulder injuries.
yeah.
That's a pretty big what if for her career.
Yeah, yeah.
But she does a great job with what she has, but it's Nafisa or Asia, and it should be Nafisa by advanced stats, by wins. She's been the best player in the league this year for the best team.
Yeah, and I think sometimes narrative kind of impacts votes more than
Oh yeah.
what is the best thing. And Nafisa certainly had the narrative going for her since the end of last season. Last year, she could have easily been MVP if Asia hadn't, set league records for points per game. Nafisa had an MVP type season and was on a better team than Asia last year. Um, and then certainly felt like Nafisa got robbed last year. So I said at the end of last year, Nafisa for MVP next year, and certainly had the narrative and was leading the league, shooting 50, 40, 90. The only concern is that Asia kind of has the momentum right now, just the last third of the season or so. They've been on a hot streak. But hopefully they look at the totality of the season and wins and, you know, um, overall game, not just points and rebounds.
Recency bias is a thing though. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, hopefully they can overcome that recency bias and look at the whole season and not just the good winning streak that LA's been on. But, they need to remember also that that winning streak started after Minnesota spanked Vegas by 53 points. And,
right.
they put the beat down on them. And so, you know, take that into account, voters, when you think about recency bias. Um, so the other thing we wanted to talk about just around kind of awards this week was First Team All WNBA.
Yeah, I mean, I think three are kind of obvious. It's like the MVP candidates, basically. Nafisa will be first team, Asia will be first team, and Alyssa Thomas will be first team. I think it's pretty obvious that Alicia Gray should be first team. She's missed a few games recently, and it's not really, I haven't seen anything clear about why she's missing it, if it's for rest. I didn't see the reason she didn't show up on the most recent box score with like a did not play rest or injury or anything. So I'm not sure, but she should make it. She's had a great year, and Atlanta has exceeded our expectations, certainly. And then for the last spot, I think Kelsey Mitchell. Earlier in the season, you probably say UNESCO maybe for that fifth spot, but New York has not been great, and UNESCO's been inconsistent. She's missed games. Kelsey Mitchell has played every game this year, and has just been a force. She's number three in scoring and number three in three-pointers made. So, yeah, just a really good season for Kelsey.
Yeah, I like that top five. That makes a lot of sense. It even makes sense positionally,
Hmm.
and so yeah, to have Kelsey make the team as with the season she's had, and even though Indiana's not a top four team by record, they are a playoff team, and Kelsey's clearly been the engine that's driven that this season. And I don't know who you would make the argument for Golden State over her, or who
Right.
would you make the
Yeah,
argument?
if Thornton hadn't gotten injured, maybe Thornton, but that doesn't make sense positionally if they, I don't know that they care about positions anymore though for those awards,
They
but
may not. I don't know either. But I think Alicia Gray would take Ryan Howard's spot for Atlanta. She should anyway. I think Alicia Gray should be the vote, and Ryan Howard probably second team then. So I can't think of anybody else who would be more deserving than Kelsey. Brianna Stewart's missed too many games.
hmm.
There's just nobody else who you could really put in that spot, I think. So I like that five, and hopefully that'll be who gets it. I think Kelsey Mitchell really deserves a first team All WNBA nod this year.
Yeah, that would be nice. So hopefully that's what happens. And yeah, I don't think you could say Kelsey Plum is up there in scoring, but her team has been worse. And um, yeah, hopefully Kelsey Mitchell will get it.
Yeah, so we've been doing a segment, what were they thinking? And I think the clear cut candidate this week for what they're thinking is Angel Reese, and relatedly the Chicago Sky. I mean, what was Angel Reese thinking with that statement about her teammates?
I don't know. It's hard to know because I don't know what like I think it was at a required media thing for the team, and so I don't know what questions people are asking, that are leading to these responses. But certainly very unwise statements regarding her teammates. Who, I mean, it's been a tough year for Chicago, and nothing that she said is necessarily wrong, but you still can't be saying that to media and saying that publicly.
No, you don't say those things publicly. You got to keep that in the locker room if you're going to say anything about it. You can talk to teammates if they're not giving good effort. I don't watch Chicago and think they're not giving good effort, though. I mean,
Right.
so I don't know. You just don't say those kind of things. So then Chicago came out with a half game suspension, which was odd. That it was
Yeah,
only half a game.
I don't know if I've ever seen a half game suspension. I don't really know what the point is. Yeah.
I feel like I've seen him in the NFL. I
Hmm.
don't think I've ever seen him in the NBA or in college basketball or anything. I mean,
Yeah.
but usually it's a full game suspension. I feel like I've seen him in the NFL before where they do half game suspensions
Huh.
sometimes. But yeah, it was a weird thing. I mean, I don't know why they didn't just make it a their season's over. I mean, why just make it a one game suspension? I don't know.
Yeah,
But
or even suspend her for the rest of the season. What do they have, 2 games left?
yeah. Yeah, I mean it was weird. That was a half game, but I'm glad they did something at least.
Yeah.
That was a good move by Chicago to at least say, "Hey, this is not right. We're not going to stand for this," and there's going to be
Sure.
a punishment for it.
Yeah, and she criticized the coach as well and said he needed to coach them harder, and so not great. But I mean, Chicago is not great as well, and a pretty messy situation. Not really a great place for free agents. Yeah,
Well, like you said, she's probably not wrong in the facts of her statement. It's just when do you say that? Where do you say that? That's where she was way, way wrong.
right.
And so I'm glad that Chicago did something, even though what they did seemed weird also. So yeah, so now I mean we're here last week of the regular season. Um, the Fever have a game Sunday at Washington, who has clearly been tanking, and hopefully that's a win. And then the last game of the season for Indiana is Tuesday with a home game against Minnesota, who has already clinched the number one seed. So hopefully, I think Indiana probably just needs to win one of those two games to clinch the seventh seed because they've got the season tiebreaker against Seattle, and Seattle's already a game behind in the loss column. So Indiana just has to win one of those games because even if Seattle wins, goes 1-0, and Indiana goes 1-1, they'll be tied, and Indiana would be the seventh seed.
Yeah,
I, you know, it would take a miracle for them to have Golden State lose three straight games and sneak into the sixth seed. So I don't
right,
think that's happening. So, but there's mathematically, it's still possible. Indiana could win both their games, and Golden State could lose all three, and
right.
Indiana would be the sixth seed. But, I don't know if it really matters if you get Las Vegas or Atlanta in the first round. Atlanta's been tough on Indiana this year.
Yeah, I think you almost rather get Vegas, but we don't know where Vegas will be yet. But that's going to be a tough. I hope they get at least one win. I think last year they got swept in the playoffs by Connecticut, so I hope they can at least get one win.
That'd be great. I mean, this
And
year, isn't it home, away, home?
yes, they finally coughed up a little money to pay for tickets.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a 3-game series, it's not really fair to have the first two at home for the higher seeds. So they do get a home game for sure.
So that gives you a better chance, right, of
Yeah.
stealing a game and getting a little more playoff experience for the team. And so, yeah. So hopefully, you know, they get some good experience. It looks like they've, again, not mathematically yet, but realistically, it looks like they're in the playoffs. Probably most likely going to be the seventh seed playing most likely Las Vegas or Atlanta. All right. Well, I think that's it for the W Hoops podcast today. Everyone, please be sure to subscribe and leave a comment or a review, and we'll see you next week.